Yes, each of these could be on your drive for between £5,000 and £12,000. Let me introduce them. Nissan Leaf Series 1. The Vauxhall Ampera. And finally, the BMW i3. The Nissan Leaf is one of the best-known electric cars, and it is the best-selling badge to date. It won the European Car of the Year when it was launched in 2011, and it was hailed for putting electric cars on a par with conventional cars. In some respects, at least. A new Nissan Leaf will set you back nearly 30 grand, but now you can get into a Series 1 like this for just 5 grand. With that in mind, Nissan claims this car can do up to 100 miles between charges, but sometimes the reality can be rather different. Various factors can alter the range, such as driving style and weather conditions. While the range was 100 miles when new, it's likely to be lower now, as time and usage means batteries lose some of their capacity. It's powered by an electric motor with 107 horsepower and 210 pound-foot of torque, driving the front wheels. It's also got a 24 kilowatt lithium-ion battery that's in the floor and comes with a warranty of 100,000 miles or 8 years, whichever comes soonest. But is the Leaf any fun to drive? The best thing about electric cars is the fact that as soon as you put your foot on the throttle, boom, you get all the torque instantly. So you can shoot off more quickly than you could in most petrol or diesel cars. However, saying that, this car's 0 to 60 time of 9 seconds isn't that blistering, but it does feel like you're being propelled down the road pretty quickly. When it comes to maintaining an EV, what is there to look out for? Well, of course, there's no need to change the oil, the spark plugs or the air filters, but the biggest concern with electric cars is the battery capacity. The battery pack of the Leaf is expected to retain 70 to 80% of its capacity after 10 years, but as with range, its actual lifespan depends on how often fast charging is used, driving patterns and environmental factors such as temperature. It is rare that a battery will fail with this model, but if it does, you could expect to pay up to £5,000 for a replacement, which is a lot when the car costs £5,000. The software system on the Leaf can be a bit finicky, particularly if it's not updated regularly, and it can give false information. So, for example, you could be driving to a charging point that no longer exists. So, best keep it updated. Next up, it's the Vauxhall Ampera. It was the first plug-in hybrid to go on sale in the UK back in 2012. It has a 50-mile range on pure electric power, and then it's got a petrol engine which works as a generator, and that will give you an extra 300 miles. So there is zero range anxiety here. The petrol engine works as a generator for the battery pack. It's what's called a range extender, so perhaps a good stepping stone for nervous converts. The electric motor has 149 horsepower, which gets the Ampera from 0 to 62 in 9 seconds. When it comes to handling, it's pretty similar to the Leaf. It feels like a bigger car, and the steering is slightly better tuned to my taste. The 0 to 60 time happens in the same time as the Leaf at 9 seconds, and when I lift my foot off the throttle, the car automatically slows down without me having to put my foot onto the brake. That's called regenerative braking, and the power that generates then goes back into the system to help me go forwards again. The interior of the Ampera still feels reasonably fresh, and in the boot there's a pretty decent amount of space and the back seats fold forward. However, it is a strict 4-seater, and that's because of the way the batteries are laid out under the floor. When it was new, this car was £34,000. Today you can pick one up for around £12,000. But with such a complicated petrol and battery powertrain, there are some issues to look out for. Should you need to replace the 16 kilowatt battery, then the price will be around £10,000, which includes labour and VAT. And transmission solenoids, which control the fluids in the gearbox, have been known to fail and cost between £150 to £300 to replace. And my final choice is an EV with a premium badge, the BMW i3. And this version, like the Ampera, has a range-extended petrol engine which gets the i3 to 60 in 7.9 seconds. Despite being launched over 5 years ago, this car still wouldn't look out of place if it was launched at a motor show today. It is sensational. As well as cutting-edge looks, the passenger cell is made of high-tech carbon fibre, which is usually reserved for supercars, and it gives a weight saving of around 1/4 of a tonne. Every other manufacturer should come and have a look at the i3's interior. It has so many different things to see, to touch. It keeps my interest. It's got different fabrics, different tones. It is awesome. I love being in here. It's definitely sprightly when you put your foot down. It's the better handling of our 3 cars. With a price tag of around 12 grand, is the investment worth it? Or will its upkeep cost even more? There have been issues with the i3's air conditioning system. If you have a faulty one, it needs to be replaced immediately because it also cools the batteries. A replacement one will cost about £1,800. And if you hear a squeak in your steering wheel, it could be the front swivel joints. Cost of repair would be around £400 to £500. So, after a day with these cars, which would I have? The electric appeal of these 3 cars is their excellent acceleration. But for me, I like a car that's engaging to drive and to be in, and so it is the BMW i3.